Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. And continuing the journey into my childhood, movie I should have reviewed a couple years ago, but haven't. Small Soldiers. I mean, I've searched this many times in my content, and I haven't done this movie yet, and I do not know why. I recently watched this with my son, showed it to him, and but that was like a month ago, so I had to rewatch it today. So yeah, so Small Soldiers came out in 1999 and 1998, excuse me, and I'm not gonna go deep into it, but this was one of the first efforts from DreamWorks. DreamWorks had a habit of copying their predecessors, Pixar. Pixar gave us Toy Story, we got Small Soldiers. Pixar gave us A Bug's Life, we got Ants. Pixar gave us Finding Nemo, hello Shark Tale. I mean, it was, for a while there, it seemed like, you know, they were just sort of copying what Pixar was doing. And then they started doing stuff like Madagascar and How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek, and Trolls. Over the Hedge, better stuff. Kung Fu Panda. I just want to point out here, so I had this little booklet, it's in there. And in the back, they show you 4 DreamWorks titles you can watch. One is the movie about the bird, Polly. Nice film. Grew up watching that. That's a nice, fun film. On the side, we have Mouse Hunt. Haven't really watched it all the way through. Was a favorite of my sister's. There's The Peacemaker. And no, I don't mean John Cena. It's some kind of action movie with George Clooney. And then they advertise to children, mind you, because it's a PG-13 movie, Amistad. That's the movie you want to advertise to children. But yeah, 1998, I was 11 years old, so I wasn't quite 13 yet. But this was something big. The Burger King had the toys and the rodeo burger with Chip Hazard, voiced by Jim Cummings instead of Tommy Lee Jones. But let's get into the movie here. So, yes, we have, what the story is that this toy company is now owned by this military chip designer guy, played by Dennis Leary. He brings in these 2 toy designers, played by Jay Moore and David Cross, to give him ideas. David Cross gives him the Gorgonites, but he passes on them because they're supposed to be peaceful and he wants a battle, a war thing. And then the Commando Elite are given by Jay Moore's character, and he makes a big deal about how in the commercial they burst out of the thing. Commercial, you see a lot of things that don't actually happen. And you get a Dennis Leary rant about this. And Dennis Leary's rants are always really good, but I'm sick of this, and this. I'm sick of always, what if we actually had, what the toys actually did, what we saw them do in the commercials? That was always something when I was a kid. Oh, I want to do that. And you eat the toy, and it's like, come on, do it. Yeah, I understand that, So he decides he's going to say yes to both toy lines, but my son pointed this out when we watched it. He goes, are the Commandos supposed to be the good guys? I'm like, I think so. Because the way he explains it is that the Commandos are trying to take down the Gorgonites. But the Gorgonites are supposed to be the villainous monsters. However, they're not designed that way. They're supposed to be timid hiders. And I'm guessing Irwin, that's David Cross's character, designed them to be that way. Because later we find out from the Robert Picardo cameo, the chips were designed to work in conjunction with whatever parameters you set. So whatever you set in the toys when you program them, it will work that way. Which is why the Commandos are like hunting down the Gorgonites, and the Gorgonites are hiders because Irwin designed the Gorgonites the way he wanted them, not the way that Denis Leary wanted them. It's something you don't think about. It's like, oh, because I was watching it this time when he described the chips to him, like, oh, so Irwin, because Denis Leary wanted the Gorgonites to be the villains, but, and my son did mention that, he's like, are the Commandos supposed to be the good guys? I'm like, I think so, but I didn't really think hard about it until now. Yeah, they're supposed to be the good guys, but the parameters are different. Irwin programmed the Gorgonites to be like he wanted them to be, and not Spike Spiegel. Jay Moore, he's dressed like Spike Spiegel at the beginning of this from Cowboy Bebop, but he programs them to be ruthless commandos. Put those together, not so good. These toys land in the lap of a kid named Alan, who is working for his father at his father's toy store, and he convinces our Dick Miller cameo to, because it's Joe Dante, so we gotta have a Dick Miller and Robert Ricardo cameo. It's required. But he convinces him to lend him one set of toys to put in the store, which his father doesn't like war toys, but one set to put in there. And if you think about it, that's not good salesman technique. You only have one set, one full set, which means you have one set of Commandos, one set of Gorgonites. I know that they do that because the plot dictates it has to be one set of Commandos versus one set of Gorgonites. It works better that way. But from a business making standpoint, you don't want to only have one set of toys in your store. Because, and the point is proven, because the Christy, played by Kirsten Dunst, comes in with a little brother, and the little brother automatically wants Chip Hazard, and I'm assuming Archer. Those are the two big ones. You only have one set, right? You sell your two big ones, the two main characters of this set, basically. You sell them. All that's left are the side characters. Who's going to buy those? It's like Jingle All the Way, right? Turbo Man, completely sold out. All they have is Booster. Nobody wants Booster. They want the Turbo Man, right? Booster sucks. We want Turbo Man. It's that sort of thing. You sell the two big ones. Who wants the eyeball thing? Well, I would want that one, but who would want just those? You want the whole set, or you want... Talk about Toy Story back in the day. You want a Buzz? You want a Buzz? You want a Buzz? You want a Woody? But you want them first. You don't just want to go to start. Oh, hey, there was no Buzz or Woody. Here, have a Rex. Here, have a Ham. Here, have a Slinky Dog. No, it's that sort of thing. You go to this toy store, the two big characters are already sold. You're not going to make any money if all you got is Nick Nitro and eyeball thing. You know? So I get it. One set is so that they could have one set of each facing each other in the film, but from a toy selling standpoint, not very smart. But, you know, he's a kid. And he leaves because he realizes his dad forgot his tickets, plane tickets, which doesn't hold any kind of... Because you think, oh, he's going to be gone for the entire film. By the way, the dad is played by Kevin Dunn. No, not the WWE producer guy with the big teeth. Kevin Dunn, the dad from Transformers. Him. And I think it's funny, they foreshadowed without even knowing it, because they're like, there's two big Transformers out there, and they're power Transformers. And I'm just like, we know what's going to come. And it is a DreamWorks movie, technically, too. But, yeah. So the two guys, they get passwords. You know, Irwin and Spike, not Spike Spiegel. They get passwords, and Irwin's password is Gizmo. Did I mention that Joe Dante directed this film? So yes, and so not Spike Spiegel decides to get military-grade chips to put in the toys. Now, despite the fact that I'm assuming the programming was done separately, they all use the same chips because they all come together. They all work the same way. So, yeah, military grade chips, munitions chips, as we find out later. So, yes, now the fight is on as the commandos are after the Gorgonites. Archer is attacked and hide inside Alan's backpack to get away from the commandos. The rest of the commandos seemingly attack and destroy the Gorgonites. However, the Gorgonites are actually hiding. That's the eyeball thing I keep talking about. Ocula, whatever it's called. But, oh, one thing I want to talk about. Christy's dad is played by Phil Hartman. This was his last role before his unfortunate death in 1998. It's kind of a bummer when you think about it, and you watch this movie, and you just see how great he is. Man, he was. It's one of those things like with Chris Farley or John Belushi, where they have so much talent, and it doesn't get to shine for that long. It's like a star; it shines so brightly, and then like that, gone. Now, admittedly, unlike John Belushi or Chris Farley, he didn't accidentally take his own life with drugs. His wife took his life. If you remember the story, I've looked it up and listened and read about it and watched videos about it. Not going to go into great detail, but it's terrible. It's just terrible what happened. But he was so great in this, in Jingle All the Way, which I already referenced. It just every time I see Phil Hartman in a movie, I'm reminded. Same thing with Chris Farley and John Belushi. It's like they have, like you watch Animal House or the Blues Brothers, and you see how much talent John Belushi had. You watch, and you even put John Candy in there too, right? You watch the Planes, Trains, Automobiles, or Uncle Buck, or The Great Outdoors, or you watch Tommy Boy or Black Sheep, and you see how much talent these guys had, and it's gone. And every time I see Phil Hartman, I'm like, man, this guy is one of the funniest guys on the planet. If he had just, and like I said, like the other guys, it's not really his fault. It's his wife. But, man, in a way, his death is probably sadder than the others, where, they just couldn't control their addictions. Where here, he was sleeping and chop, and yeah. It's sad, but he's really good in this, I think. He's good as the annoying neighbor in this and in Jingle All the Way. But at least here he's not trying to take Ellen's mom away from his dad. He's got a wife here. But yeah, so speeding things up just a little bit, the toys eventually find out that Alan and Christy have a budding romance. So they're going to use her as bait, I guess, to get Alan to give the Gorgonites up. So what they do is they infiltrate the house and they put sleeping pills in the mom's gin and tonic. Now, this works for the mom because she's drinking the gin and tonic. They put like 3 of them in there and they conk her out. And I'm sitting there. So this is the scene where Phil Hartman is explaining his new surround sound satellite system, which, folks, satellite is not the way to go, man. Satellite sucks. My grandparents had satellite dish, right? In my young adult years, they had satellite dish. It sucked every time it rained. Every time it rained. You got nothing. It would go out every fucking time it rained. Or at least a big storm. But, you would get nothing. I'd be there trying to watch TV. Storm or rain would happen. Go out. Have to put in a movie. It's just, no. Satellite sucks. And the way I always laugh in these movies when they start talking about, oh, this is a satellite, 500 channels, premium reception, and I'm like, Yeah, but then it rains and you get shit. It didn't know. Satellite has never impressed me. Ever. All these channels that cable doesn't have. Yeah, that's cool. There were some cool channels that you couldn't get on cable, but when it rained, you couldn't watch anything anyway. Yeah, he's bragging about this and he's showing the picture and it's like, oh, it looks grainy, and it's because it's a superimposed picture on this green screen. Obviously, TVs weren't that bad. Even in 1998, it wasn't that bad. And the sound, and then there's like watching a war thing. And when she goes to drink the tonic, he says, I think World War II was my favorite war. I'm like, people have favorite wars? War is terrible. As we find out later, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. We'll get to that. But, yeah. I think World War II was my favorite war. I'm just like, people have favorite wars? I don't think they do, but, who knows? So anyway. Yeah. And this is a little convoluted. So she has the gin tonic, she's drinking it, and then she finally passes out. And I'm like, okay, but he doesn't have a drink. So the next scene, all of a sudden the drink is transported to the coffee table in front of them. He grabs it and he takes the drink. And I'm like, oh, well, that's convenient that he just happens to want to drink the drink. His wife doesn't realize she's falling asleep. Okay, so they both conk out. They go upstairs. I do like this. This always makes me laugh. The kid finds the toys and he's like, oh, you're Chip Hazard. You're the leader. That is, until you're shot in battle. Pfft, you're dead. And this guy is the new leader. Was my idea, sir? I always love it. Wasn't my idea, sir. Get him, man. And they tie him up and then they go into the sister's room. And they find the non-copyright Barbie dolls, the Gwendy dolls. Yeah. Later voiced by Christina Ricci and Sarah Michelle Gellar. And these things are freaky later. They attack Christy later. They become the new... So they take the head of Nick Nitro, who was killed by Alan earlier. Oh, I forgot to mention that Alan now shut up, because when Alan takes him home, he's talking to him. He's like, how did you get in there? He's like, greetings. I am Archer, Administrator Gorgonites. What is your name? I'm like, Alan. Now shut up. Greetings, Alan. Now shut up. He's like, wait, what? Did you... Huh? You just say my name? I get they're supposed to be Chips. But yeah. Meanwhile, during all this is happening, Irwin and not Spike Spiegel go to see Robert Picardo. We get that cameo. And that's when you find out about the chips. He's like, you put munitions chips inside toys? And that's before that. But they go there and said, well, if there's a problem, it's not with the chip, it's with your software. Which, yeah, it's following the protocols within the software. So whatever they programmed in, that's what it's following, I said it earlier. So they show up at the house. All hell's breaking loose. Both families are in trouble. And they realize, because earlier we found out when they were looking at the chips and stuff, that the only reason we go to see Robert Picardo is so he can tell them that there was one flaw with the chips, and that's that an EMP, much that would be caused by a nuclear weapon, would power them down. So they wouldn't be useful in that situation. So that is our out with this. So we get this scene that I knew was coming. So I'll preface this with a little story. My son and I recently watched, I've already seen it, but I sat down and showed my son the entirety of Boy Meets World. There's an episode in like season 6 or 7. I think it's like season 6 or so. One of them where Corey and Topanga do karaoke. There's like couples karaoke. But they sing, "Whoa, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again now. Whoa." I gotta show them Rush Hour when it is. I don't have the DVDs though, so I have to buy the DVDs. But yeah, so I knew that scene was coming up where they come out to war. So I was just waiting. I'm sitting there. It's getting closer and closer, and I'm waiting, and I see that it's happening, and I jump up, and I'm like, "Wow!" As the song comes on, and he starts laughing. Well, I'm gonna run because I don't like war. We have some in jokes. We have in jokes between the two of us. Yeah, that was fun. And I do like that. And so they seemingly defeat the toys, but Chip Hazard survives and gets new recruits. He ends up rushing down to the toy store, and he recruits many, many, many Commando Elites. Many doubles of Commando Elites, except for himself. He's the only Chip Hazard. All the other ones are recruited except for the other Chip Hazards. And he comes back, and that's when they decide, we have to do an EMP. It'll work. And so they send Alan. Alan goes, his dad tries to go with him, but he gets a nail gun to the leg, so he can't continue. So Alan goes up, climbs up this thing. Yes, they use this metal thing, but he drops it. So he takes Chip Hazard, puts it in the middle, and causes the EMP, which he believes is going to destroy all the chips and all the toys. But the satellite dish happens to fall at one point, because of course it does. And so the day after everything is saved, Dennis Leary comes up, pays off everyone with money. And yeah, and so then Alan is cleaning up because apparently the government doesn't want to clean up their own mess, I guess. But Alan is cleaning up, and he finds the Gorgonites underneath the satellite dish, and he thinks they're fried. But here's the thing: it starts talking. I am Archer, emissary of the Gorgonites. If it was fried, it wouldn't talk. It would just be a toy. So right away you should be like, wait a minute, you're talking? You still work? And then it starts talking normal, and it's like, okay. And then he sends them off to Gorgon, and here's the thing. There's a scene earlier in the film where he's talking to them. He says that Gorgon doesn't exist. And that's where they're from. It doesn't exist. And they're like, well, if it's not in that window, is it in this? And he's like, well, there's nothing in windows. There's stuff out windows. No, if you're outside, then let's say, well, I'm on the second floor, but let's say I'm outside the window, right? And I'm looking in. My living room is inside the window. So if you're on the outside, there is stuff. If you're on the outside of the window, there is stuff inside windows. Don't confuse children, all right? But they start talking about, oh, what's that? Oh, there's the mall. And beyond that, there's the highway. And beyond that, well, I don't know. He just moved there. Hello? He's like, they're like, Gorgon. I'm like, no. But then they just, at the end, they send on this lake or whatever, and they set sail. I'm like, no, originally they were planning to do a sequel for this, but it didn't make enough money. I imagine the sequel would be like them coming back, oh, we couldn't find anything. So we came back. I don't know how they would do a sequel unless there was another Chip Hazard. Ooh, I see how they could have done it. The Chip Hazard that got fried is a different Chip Hazard. No, because he had the marks on his face, wasn't it? Still, our Chip Hazard could have been smart and made him look like it. Who knows? Or he swapped the chips. No, because how would that work? There have to be 3 Chip Hazards doing this. You have to have 2 other Chip Hazards, or one of the other guys doing it, and switch the chips around. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how they would have done a sequel. Joe Dante would have found a way, but it didn't make enough money, which is sad. But I would say, though, that when it comes to Small Soldiers, it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Small Soldiers? I should actually tell you about the cast. I forgot about that. You have Tommy Lee Jones as Chip Hazard. Frank Langella, and that's how you pronounce it, Langella, not Langella, Nostalgia Critic. Frank Langella as Archer, emissary of the Gorgonites. You have other, voice actors in there. I think Jim Cummings is in there. I think maybe the guy who voices Yakko Warner. I forget his name. But he was also Gnorm the Gnome. So, yeah. pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Small Soldiers? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.